no matter the location. From O-A-K-L-A to L-V, I'm a Raider.
Raider Nation, what's going on? We got some breaking news to kick off today's show. The Las Vegas Raiders have moved on from defensive tackle Maurice Hurst and edge rusher Hurst and Key. If you've watched the Raiders report for a long time, even if you've just watched it over the last 2 weeks, you'll know that I've talked about both of these players being potential cut candidates. Now, for Hurst and Key, his cap hit was coming in at $2.39 million. This move saves the Raiders $2.18 million. And when you look at a lot of the moves that this team made this offseason, they obviously added one Yannick Ngakoue. They also made a lot of other moves on the defensive line. So for the Raiders, they saved $2.18 million. But as I stated, they also decided to move on from Maurice Hurst, who was set to make $2.26 million. This move also is going to save them $2.18 million in 2021. So essentially, you're saving about $4.2 million moving on from two players. Now, I also said this, that I actually would not move on from Mo. Mo has always been a player since he's come out of Michigan that I actually do like quite a bit. For whatever reason, the Raiders haven't really liked him all that much, and he's coming off a year where he played in only 27% of the snaps. So if you feel like that you can save a little bit of money here, then you go ahead and do it. So go down in the comments right now, wherever you watch this video, and give me your one-word reaction to the Raiders cutting Hurst and Key and Mo Hurst. If it's different words, then, that's okay. I am going to say expected, and it's simply because as soon as I saw a lot of the moves that they made on the defensive line, I sat here and I'm like, okay, I could understand the Raiders trying to do this. Plus, you also have to remember this. The Raiders had $3.63 million before today started. You have to also pay all your rookies about $8.63 million in fixed cost. So they needed to go out and create a little bit more room here. That's what they did with Hurst and Key and Mo Hurst. Now, we're also going to be breaking down some more Raiders news and rumors on today's show because that's what I had planned, and then this breaking news just kind of landed on my lap. The first thing we're going to be talking about here is, are the Raiders taking an offensive lineman in round one? This rumor is from Vincent Bonsignor, and he basically said that he finds that it's pretty likely that they go offensive tackle in round one. I'm going to give it two Chucky heads. I'm simply going to say that people are talking. It's a 50-50 chance. You'll know that I've talked about multiple offensive linemen here for this Raiders team at 17 because when you decided to move on from Trent Brown, you're like, okay, we need to fill that right tackle void. Now, whether you think Denzel Good's going to start at right tackle or Brandon Parker's going to start at right tackle, I am not really too thrilled about it. In a perfect world, you have the offensive line that you see on screen right now, and then instead of Brandon Parker being the starting right tackle, you kick somebody else out there, you put somebody else out there like a Teven Jenkins, or maybe someone like a Christian Darrisaw, maybe Rashawn Slater slides down. In a perfect world, Penei Sewell. But bottom line is this, the Raiders are not comfortable with their offensive line because there is still some weaknesses here and there. There's no doubt about it. Luckily for us as fans, this is a very deep offensive tackle class, and right now here are my top 5 prospects. The only players that I would take realistically at 17 are the top 4. No disrespect to Samuel Cosme. He's more of a second-round player, but if Darrisaw's there, if Jenkins are there, both players that I definitely think could be some realistic options. But you guys would know that they're realistic options because you're subscribed to the show, right? At least, hopefully that you are. Now, I've also made this video, Raiders Round 1 Draft Targets. If you haven't seen it yet, please go check it out. It's on the channel. I break down my top 13 players that the Raiders could take at pick number 17. So if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, look down below. Click that big red button that says subscribe because when we have breaking news, hey, we're going to be able to break it down for you. If you want more talk around the NFL draft, we're going to be able to break it down for you. There's not going to be another Raiders channel out there that keeps you more up to date than this one here. So please go ahead and subscribe to the Raiders Report. So the question I'm going to ask you guys is this. Which player will the Raiders go ahead and draft at number 17? It's a pretty interesting question. There's no doubt about that. And when I think about it, I'm like, okay, they could go a few different ways here. There's no doubt about that. But what I'm going to be doing coming up here on today's show is I'm going to be breaking down some players that I think they could go ahead and pick at pick number 17. So go down in the comments and let me know. Which player will the Raiders draft at pick number 17? And before I was going to start the show, I was going to make this the pinned comment, but things changed up a little bit. It's all good. Let me know down in the comments which player you think the Raiders are going to take at number 17. All right, Raider Nation, we're going to be breaking down the top 5 players I think are the most likely to be drafted at pick 17, and you are watching the Raiders Report by Chat Sports. So the first player that I'm going to be bringing up here is offensive tackle Christian Darrisaw from Virginia Tech. He's a very good player. He has 34 starts underneath his belt, played mainly left tackle for the Hokies, but he's a player that I do think is athletic enough and is good enough where if you wanted to be able to move him over to the right tackle spot, you can go ahead and do that. Now, he had a massive breakout season in 2020, allowed just 6 pressures this season, but his versatility is a big thing why I really like him a lot. And at 6'5", 311 pounds, if there's one thing that I've learned from covering the Raiders, especially even with Tom Cable, he wants somebody that's tall playing tackle. Like, the Raiders, I don't think have ever had somebody under 6'5" playing tackle while Tom Cable's been there. Luckily, Darrisaw, he's 6'5", and he'd be a good player here. At number 4, in terms of players most likely to be picked at number 17, I'm going to go with linebacker Micah Parsons from Penn State. I'm not ranking these players based on talent. I'm ranking them based on the likeliness of the Raiders taking them at 17. Because when it comes to talent, you can make a serious argument that the most talented defensive player in this year's draft, it is in fact Micah Parsons. Now, there's a report out there that 15 teams are not even going to put Parsons on this draft board because of some of his rumors around some of the things that he did to his teammates at Penn State. I won't get into it because it's not true. Well, at least it hasn't been confirmed if it's true or if it's false. And I know I've said this like literally 100 times on the Raiders Report. His skill set does remind me a lot of Khalil Mack. Is he as good as Khalil Mack? No, I don't think that. However, if you use him as a true edge rusher, that's where you're going to be able to get a lot out of him. But there's been rumors out there, reports that John Gruden might not take any guys who opted out in 2020, and Parsons did opt out. But in 2019, he had over 100 tackles. He was a very good player getting off the edge, and I do think if the Raiders use him correctly, he could be a very, very talented player. At number 3, in terms of Raiders most likely to be picked at 17, I'm going to go with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I'm sorry, I couldn't fit his entire name on this bar, and if I did, Dad, you'd need your glasses here. So he's an outside linebacker, and in fact, won college football's award for best outside linebacker this past year. He's a do-it-all athlete. He can cover, he can blitz, and I think he is the perfect fit in what Gus Bradley is looking for in a linebacker in his scheme. Sideline to sideline speed, and it's really one of the reasons why I do think actually he could be that top pick on defense because of the overall fit. When I think of an NFL comp, Derwin James, but Mitch, Derwin James is a safety. You're 100% right. But if the Raiders use Owusu-Koramoah correctly, you're going to be able to see a lot of good things from this guy. So 62 tackles last year, 11 tackles for loss, 3 pass breakups, an interception. A very good player, and I really hope the Raiders could end up getting him. At number 2 here, I'm going to go Trevon Merrick, safety from TCU. One of the biggest needs, if not it's the biggest need on defense, it is still free safety. I like the Carl Joseph signing. I like Jeff Heath. They're more just depth players. If you can go out and get the best free safety in this year's class, it is Merrick. Now, do I think Merrick at 17 might be a little bit high? Yes, I do. Would the Raiders be reaching a little bit here based on need? Yes, I do. However, if you have a player that you really like, which I know Gruden, I know Mike Mayock, they do like Merrick, then go out and make it happen. He'd be a great fit in the cover 3 scheme. There's no doubt about that. So that's why Trevon Merrick is going to be ranked number 2 here. And when you look at some of his production, I mean, he's got good numbers, but he also has the build. 6'2", 202 pound. He's a very good athlete. He can locate the ball, which is very important. And in the cover 3 scheme, you need a center fielder. Trevon Merrick, he can be that center fielder. At number 1, in terms of players most likely to be picked at number 17, I'm going to go offensive tackle Teven Jenkins from Oklahoma State. He is just like, I think, everything John Gruden wants in an offensive lineman, where he's a big dude, and I have the second note here, and I want you to be able to read it, and I want you to, I don't know, show your mom this note. He is a mean mother trucker in the trenches, and what do I mean by that? When he lines up, he wants to rip your head off. He kind of reminds me of this like little blend of Colton Miller, Richie Incognito, where if you talk to him, like Colton, he's a really nice guy. But then when you get to him on the football field, you're like, wow, this guy is one tough SOB. That's what Jenkins is, and he is a dominant run-blocking right tackle. And for the Raiders, I'm telling you, This is how they want to win football games. It's on the ground. 6'6", 320-pounder from Topeka, Kansas, and his career 27 games played, allowed 18 pressures, 8 quarterback hits, only 4 sacks allowed as well. Teven Jenkins is a very good right tackle, and I will continue to say he's the player that I think is most likely to be picked at number 17. If you disagree with me, hey, it's all good. Raider Nation, man, we are family, and we're always being able to, tell each other how it is. So if you haven't already, go down in the comments. Let me know who you think is the most likely player to be picked at 17. All right, y'all, so we got some special draft hats that have just been released. If you haven't already, please go get your hands on some of these bad boys. It's chatsports.com/RaidersDraft. Now, some of y'all are going to be like, well, Mitch, I want all new Raider hats. Luckily, they are brand new, and they are going to go very, very quickly. If you're not a hat person, it's okay. I got you. I'm a collectible guy. I'm going to collect these because guess what? They're the Raiders draft hats in 2021. So all you need to do is go to the link that you see below. It's going to be in the comments. It's also going to be in the description. So for whatever reason, if you can't remember chatsports.com/RaidersDraft, remember, it's in the comments and it's in the description. So I'm kind of going to go back here to this little report here from Vincent Bonsignor, and he had an interesting quote that said, I think they're going to take a tackle in the first round, but if a Micah Parsons falls to them, I think a guy like that would give them pause in terms of sticking with the plan. So he's saying the plan is to go offensive tackle. Okay, so let's talk about Micah Parsons being drafted at pick number 17. I'm going to give this one only one chalky head, and I think it's a small shred of truth. Now, in terms of if he's there at 17, you could probably bump this up to 2, maybe 3 chalky heads, because if Micah Parsons is there, it becomes a lot more tantalizing, right? Because then you got to talk about him, you got to talk about Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, and then all the other players. But I don't really think that Micah Parsons is going to fall to 17 because there's teams like the Broncos that really like him. There's teams like the Giants that would like to get him. There's a team like the Patriots. He could go to so many different teams because he can fit so many different areas, and that's why it's one Chucky head. It has nothing to do with the Raiders not liking him. I know the Raiders like him as a player and as a prospect. It's just the issue is I don't actually think that he's going to fall. That's why it is only one Chucky head here on my board. So what do you think about this? So let's say in a perfect world, okay, because we get what we want, right? Micah Parsons, he falls to pick number 17. Should the Raiders draft him? I want you to go down in the comments, and normally I'm saying type Y for yes, N for no. I want you to type yes or no in terms of Parsons. If you're sitting there saying, yes, Mitch, they need to go out and draft Micah Parsons, tell me why. If you're going to say no, all I'm going to say is this. Give me another player that we should draft ahead of him. All right, y'all, if you made it this far in the video, go ahead, give me a follow on Instagram. I'm at MitchellRenz365. I woke up this morning, and I probably graded, I'm not kidding you when I say this, probably close to 300 mock drafts. Now, I was more than willing to do it. I told y'all, hey, please go ahead, send me your mock drafts, and we're talking a lot of draft stuff on today's show. But as a reminder, I will not grade PFF mock drafts. They're just trash, and PFF realistically is not really good at doing the whole draft thing. If you want me to grade your mock draft, go to PFN, and then DM me and give me a follow at MitchellRenz365. Raiders draft rumors here on the Raiders Report, and is DeVonta Smith going to the Raiders? Well, I'm going to give this one 0 chalky heads. Tuck rule, tuck that. CBS released their latest mock draft, and it had DeVonta Smith falling all the way down to 17, and then the Raiders ended up taking him. The reason why I'm giving this one 0 chalky heads, tuck rule, tuck that, is because, one, I don't think he's going to fall all the way there. I mean, you can see I have literally less than 1% chance that he falls to pick 17. And then on top of that, the way that the mock fell, I still think the Raiders don't end up going with somebody like Smith. Now, is he an incredible player? Yes, he won the Heisman for a reason, put up just ridiculous numbers, 23 touchdowns, over 1,800 yards, and 117 catches. The reason why I don't see the Raiders going this route is because you have to be realistic here. Is wide receiver a need? Yes, it is. Does Derek Carr still need his number 1 guy? Yes. But, as we saw last year, it doesn't matter how many points you put up. If you can't stop anybody on defense, it doesn't matter. And if you can't block for Derek Carr, it doesn't really matter. Plus, his size, it does scare me a little bit. In terms of an NFL comp, size-wise, it's a lot more like Deshaun Jackson. The players that small have not had the best results in the NFL. Now, here's what CBS had to say on why the Raiders took him at pick number 17 in their mock draft. Smith should not be on the board at this stage of the first round, but some really good players are going to slide. Teams may overthink his lack of size, but Smith creates separation as well as anyone. I totally agree. You can't always teach certain things, and for whatever reason, DeVonta Smith gets open. And not only does he get open, he puts up numbers. And anytime that I see a player who can put up the numbers that he did against Ohio State in the Natty, it's like 215 yards in the first half, that's really hard to be able to comprehend. But he is an extremely talented player, but we've seen a lot of Alabama players be really good. Then you come to the NFL. It's a little bit different here. So what I want to be able to do here is walk you through CBS's mock draft, because I can't just say, well, I don't like the pick, and then not give you all the other picks, right? So here are the first 5 picks. The Broncos, they traded up to take Trey Lance, at number 4. The New England Patriots, they traded up then to pick number 7 with the Detroit Lions. So obviously we got 5 quarterbacks gone in the top 7 picks, which is why you're seeing some of these wide receivers slide. I mean, Jamar Chase, the first one off the board at pick number 8. And then you see the next wide receiver get taken, I believe it's like pick 15. So one player we were just talking about, Micah Parsons, he goes to the New York Giants here. Perfect example. And then you're sitting there like, wow. All right, so Jalen Waddle's still available and DeVonta Smith's still available. So if you remember, the Lions, they traded back in this mock draft. They're at pick 15. They end up taking Jalen Waddle, and then DeVonta Smith slides there to 17. So before I sit here and tell you, like, oh, I don't like the pick, this and that, well, how about this? I'm going to show you some other players that are available. And I'm going to let you play GM. I'm going to let you play Mike Mayock. I'm going to let you play head coach John Gruden, and let me know what you guys have to say here. So here are some of the best players that I thought were available. Like some of the other players that have not been taken yet, like that I always sit here and I talk about. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, Darrisaw, Jenkins, Trevon Merrick. Some other players that I believe also on the board, Azeez Ojulari, who I also like a lot. So let's just say this is how the draft falls. Who are you going to end up picking, okay? And you got to pick one of these guys here. Are you going to go with somebody like a DeVonta Smith? I want you to type 1. Are you going to go with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah? I want you to type 2. You're going to go with Christian Darrisaw? Type 3. Teven Jenkins? Type 4. Trevon Merrick from TCU? I want you to go ahead and type 5. Now, I'm going to cheat, and just because I can, right? It's my show. If this is the situation that the Raiders fall in where DeVonta Smith is sitting there at 17, you trade back. You try to find a team that can trade back. And realistically, the team that might be the team willing to do it is the Miami Dolphins, the team drafting right behind you. You're telling me right now that you can't – Tua, he wants to have his guy, DeVonta Smith, there. There's no doubt about it. And if you're the Raiders, you're like, hey, we got this guy. If you don't trade up for him, we're going to end up picking him. I bet you the Dolphins do it. I also bet you a team like the Chicago Bears would love to be able to get him. A team like the Washington football team would love to get him. So many teams out there, I think, would pick up the phone and really call, especially teams that are in this window to be able to win right now. So if you're the Raiders and DeVonta Smith falls to 17, I know I'm team trade back, but I'm even more team trade back. If you made it this far in the video, please always remember to give us a like and subscribe, because when breaking news happens, we'll be the first to be able to break it down for you in video form. All right, y'all, enjoy the rest of your day and hit that big red button that says subscribe.